running the tank empty. Kind of risking it. I had to go somewhere pretty far away, almost 30 minutes. And I'm on my way back now. It's not on E, but it says fuel range low. So I'm driving really slowly and not accelerating fast. Kind of stressing now. We're about 15 minutes from home. What's going on, everyone? So recently I've been very sick and I haven't been filming because of that. And I did a few things to the car at the beginning when I wasn't feeling as bad. So basically I jacked it up and I was going to drop the tank because I ran it completely empty, as you saw in the video. But I decided I didn't want to because I was feeling weak and tired. So instead I pulled the gas tube down from where it's supposed to be. Like, I took out the fender well and pulled it down and took apart the part where you fill it. Like, it comes apart, ripped it apart, cleaned it up, put everything back in place where it's supposed to be, put it back in, and then I took the Evap line off and I blew it out with a hose, or with the air hose, and it was just the skinny line from the filler to the skinny line in the engine bay, and you would blow in it and it would barely come out the other side, like it was pressurized, and you could hear it. It was weird, and it did not fix my issue. So I'm going to take the car and take off the fuel tank relief valve in the back. I think that's what it's called, is a pressure valve, and see if I can get to the main lines for the carbon tank, the Evap tank, whatever that thing's called, and that way I can either vacuum it out or blow it out and see what happens. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I probably won't video this part, but I also have to fix the power steering leak again. Remember last time how I pulled the pulley off and tried to fix the threads on the line, the high pressure line? Well, it's leaking even worse than it was before now, so I'm gonna pull it out and try and see if I can find some little gaskets for it, because apparently there's these little rings that are supposed to go in there. So I'm gonna try and do that. And then I'm going to flush the power steering fluid because it's pretty gross looking, and I think it will help out a lot. I'm going to put new sway bar end links in there. This one I found at a junkyard yesterday, and it's still really good. Like, look how hard this is to move. Like, it's still real stiff, like it should be. Except I worked real hard. I found this one out of all the cars there. This was the only good one. These look pretty much brand new. Found it, took it off. Took a little while to take off because the bolts were real tight. I went to the other side of the car and it was completely smashed in. So I couldn't get that one. It was just in a giant jumble. So that was lovely. And the person at the junkyard charged me $15 for this because he thought it was a sway bar. I didn't realize until I looked at the receipt. $15 for a sway bar end link? Anyways, but when I get the car in here, I'm gonna take off the wheels and take the sway bars out. I'm gonna check the bushings on the actual sway bar, and if they're bad, I'll get those too. They're like 10 bucks, I think, maybe 20. And then I have to get one of these, and one of these, brand new from AutoZone, is $45. That's the cheaper one. It's ridiculous. So I guess 15 isn't too bad. We're gonna do that, swap them out, see how it drives, because right now there's a slight swaying issue on the highway, and I'm not sure what it is. While I'm down there, I'm going to inspect all the bushings, see what's up. Monster truck mode here. It's all like this because I backed onto the ramps. It's pretty funny. Got the car all jacked up. I only have jack stands on the front because I only need to take the front wheels off, and I had it backed up so I could look at the gas tank, and I cannot access that vent valve without dropping the tank. There's too much stuff in the way. I can't even fit my hand in there. So we'll do that later. This we'll do now. My brand new tires has a freaking screw in it. Where did that come from? That's lovely. I just wonder how deep it is. Luckily, it was not a long one. Not long enough to poke a hole in the tire. Phew, that was scary. Okay, let's get back to the car. So, got the wheel off, and this is what we are going to be replacing right here. Sway bar end link. See, I should not be able to move that with my fingers right now. And if we need to, we'll replace the bushings on the sway bar if I can get to them. I might not be able to unscrew that. I don't know, we'll see. But let's start with this. Also, I think I installed these backwards. I think the vents should be going that direction, because I thought these didn't matter which way because of the vents were straight. But when I got to looking, it looks like the vents might go back, and I don't think you want them facing this way. I think you want them facing that way, so when it spins this way, it's blowing the air back instead of forward. I think that's how that works. Anyways, I think I did it backwards, so I'm gonna flip the fronts. The backs I don't need to because they don't have vents. I thought this way was how it's supposed to go, so these would grab more in the pads because it just feels like it's cutting in. I don't know. So I'm probably gonna flip those as well. Just got back from AutoZone, and I got the sway bar end link that we needed. Sure. And the power steering fluid. They only had one bottle of this, so hopefully it's enough just to flush it out a little bit. Should be. Also, look at the mileage on my truck now. All right, let's head back inside and install these parts. I didn't video taking the pump out because you've seen me do that before, but this time I did not need to take the pulley off because I figured out that this is what you're supposed to use. It's I think it's called a flare nut wrench. Basically, it slides on the pipe and then it's like a socket. And I didn't have to take the pulley off. I just had to bend the hoses way up here to do it. And it came off, so there's that. And the actual pump is right here. I pulled the fitting off of it because I believe that's what was also leaking. Here's the difference between the old one and the new one here. Look at the thickness of the new one compared to the old one. So much better. This one's a bit heavier too. And these are hard to push. Like, you can barely move them. These ones, you can spin them. It's not good at all. So yeah, that was probably part of the clunking, if not the entire clunking we were hearing. And this should help the handling so much better. So let's get to installing them. Basically, all you do here is slide this through here. That end goes there, this end goes here, and then you're done. And you torque them to, I think, either 45 or 47 foot-pounds. Installed. The only one I could torque was that one, because the other one doesn't fit in there. But I'd say they're pretty tight. So time to put the wheels back on. Well, I got everything, together, besides the location. I attached my drill to it, was spinning it, bled out the old fluid, put the new one in, it's all nice and good fluid now. And then I decided to check it before I put it back in to see if it was leaking still. And it's leaking right out of the, that piece that the high pressure line connects to that goes into the pump. That's the part that's leaking. So, gotta love it. Now I gotta empty out the fluid that's in here and try and save it because there was only one bottle of that stuff. This power steering pump came with the gasket, or the O-ring, that goes on the high pressure fitting, which is so good because I didn't know what it was. And this one is for the tank, the reservoir. Okay, anyways, oh no. I have to go get a pulley puller. Okay, well, I'll get everything off the old one first. Went to AutoZone. Got a power steering pump puller rental loaner tool, and it's brand new, so that made me happy. Okay, I got it in. Now it's all hooked up. Make sure it's not leaking. need to wipe all that down. I did this. Don't mind the messes everywhere. I've been out here since like noon and it's like 6:30. Anyways, to prime it, make sure there's no leaks. Then I'm reinstalling the pulley. Okay, moment of truth, startup number 2. Belts are probably going to be squeaking like crazy because there's fluid all over them, but here we go. I just have everything loosely in place. Let's start it up. Help if I had the keys. Okay. Well, the directions on the power steering pump say to let it idle for 2 minutes after installing it, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll throw everything back together. Now that it's all installed and working, I'm going to back it into the rocks and hose it down this section. And that. I guess I should spray some degreaser on it first. Alright, so what we have going on here, I dropped the tank enough to get the Evap canister out because I was going to drop the entire thing, but can't get to the bolts in the back because of the sway bar, and I really don't need to drop the whole thing. So I got the Evap canister out, and it's completely full of junk. It is heavy and gas is coming out, so no wonder, it's right here, no wonder the thing clicked off every 2 seconds. Let's see if any comes out now. Okay, well, none's coming out now, but trust me. And it's wet, see? Nasty. So, I'm gonna flush it with water and then air. Right now, if you put the air nozzle up to it, nothing comes out of there, like a little trickle of air. It should be flowing through easy. Okay, I'm just gonna set this up somewhere. I'm gonna do this a few more times and then I'm gonna blow it out with air and I'll get back to you. All right, blew it out with the hose a bunch and then the air compressor a bunch until no water came out. If there's a tiny bit of water in here, I can just feel it, but it'll dry out eventually. I can blow through it with my mouth now with that plugged with ease. So it's time to hook it back up. And I took the vent valve out as well so I could unplug this, because these connectors suck. They're horrible. Anyways, and a whole bunch of dirt dumped out of this. So I blew it out and we'll go from there. So now let's put everything back in. This was a complete mess. Would have been terrible for video because you wouldn't have been able to see anything. But I fought with that connector there forever. Hopefully it's fine. I'm sure it will be. Alright, everything's put back together. Now is the moment of truth when we see if it'll fill up properly. Oh yeah. Well, it wasn't a complete fail. After it clicked off the first time, I was able to hold it all the way open for a few gallons, and then it clicked off again, and I let it sit for 30 seconds, and I did it, and it went a few more gallons, and then clicked off, and I figured that was probably, it was actually full, because it was only at half a tank. So it took 5.8 gallons, which, yeah, that's pretty good. Shows it's full. Alright, that'll be the conclusion of this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.